Welcome back, Tribe. So we have an interesting article here. New York Post talking about disturbing rise of the NILFs, men not in the labor force. Very interesting that the mainstream is now talking about men taken out of the plantation, baby, just going their own way. And it's a problem because economic hits are coming down on us all. Government's feeling it. Tax base is feeling it. And after years and years of browbeating and telling you you're evil, and destroying opportunities, shipping your job overseas, crippling a man's ability to provide for his family. Now is a problem that he decides to not play the game. Okay. America's post-pandemic employment picture is an unsettling paradox. On one hand, job totals are finally back to pre-pandemic highs. Yeah, how many of those are actually decent jobs and not piece of shit gig or part-time opportunities? And unemployment rates skirt 50-year lows. Yet again, also horseshit. We know they don't count unemployment correctly. Unemployment should simply be, you have a job, yes or no. Not, well, but if you're looking for a job, yeah, but if you're in the market, well, if you're intending to get work. No, bro. Unemployment rate is far higher than they're reporting. If they reported the real numbers, people would absolutely be in shock. But at the same time, overall work rates are lower than they have been since the 80s. So that's a real picture you're getting. And millions of workers who dropped out of the labor force during the COVID-19 lockdowns have yet to return. A peacetime labor shortage has erupted. Yet vast numbers of men and women are still sitting on the sidelines of the economy. America is renowned for its work ethic, and rightly so. The average worker in the United States clocks more hours each year than those in Canada, Australia, Western Europe, and now even Japan. That's not something to be proud of. We don't get anything for clocking in more. Our societies aren't turning into utopias. Our streets are full of crime, homeless, businesses closing down because mass looting. What are we getting for working like slaves to the bone? Oh yeah, we have an upper class that's richer than everybody else. Yeah. We have a government that taxes the hell out of everybody and collects so much money, they don't even know what to do with it. Anytime you try to audit the military industrial complex, they just can't explain where trillions of dollars go. Crazy. But those are work patterns of U.S. men and women holding down a job. A flight for work in modern America is simultaneously afoot. First became evident among men in their prime between 25 and 54. Today, over 7 million of these men of prime working age are neither working nor looking for work. And now in the wake of COVID calamity, the men without work syndrome seems to be spreading, afflicting parts of the U.S. workforce that did not suffer from it before the pandemic. Work rates for older Americans 55 plus remain stuck at pre-vaccine levels. Warning lights seem to be flashing from prime age women as well. Oh my God, you screwed up men's abilities to find meaningful work. Women most affected? Modern America's flight from work problem began in the 60s among prime age men. For the first 2 decades of the post-war era, their work rates and labor participation were consistent and high. Then something happened. Ordinarily, prime age men are society's providers. Here we go. But a steady retreat from the workforce has been underway amongst this crucial contingent for over half a century. Today's work rates for prime age American men are actually lower than in the 40s, when America's unemployment rate stood at almost 15%. So our real unemployment rate is probably somewhere around here, 15%. And I'm asking you to think, viewer, what began in the 1960s that is being perpetuated through society today at increasing levels? What is it called? It starts with an F. It is no surprise that the tax base had doubled around then. It's no surprise that the workforce got flooded with more labor. It's no surprise that wages have began to go stagnant around that time in relation to cost of living and adjusting for inflation, of course. When did we start shipping job overseas? When did manufacturing start going overseas? Oh yeah, probably around that time too. Isn't it crazy? So the issues we're dealing with today all can be traced back to certain policies decades prior. Yes, prime age American men have a depression scale work problem today. But unlike in the Depression, the post-war collapse of work for men has little to do with unemployment per se, rather has been driven by exodus from the labor force. At the time of writing, for every unemployed prime age American man looking for a job, there are over 4 neither working nor looking for work. For 2 generations, the flight from work has exhibited uncanny regularity. 6 years ago, in my book Men Without Work first appeared, I showed the rising prime age male NILF rates traced out a near constant path from 65 through 2015, practically a straight line, steady heading upwards, all but unaffected by business cycles or other notable events. Today, unaccountably, it remains on almost exactly the same trajectory as in 2016, 6 world-shaking years and on 1 global pandemic later. At present, 6 world-shaking years, fucking leftists. At present, the prime age male NILF rate is at 3.5 times its 65 level. Received wisdom in academic and policy circles sees declining male workforce participation as a matter of economic and structural change. That's all it is. You see, it's just normal economics. It's just a change in the dynamics of the economy we're in. It's not policies. It's not culture wars. It's nothing that was instituted decades prior. That people on the other side were yelling, hey, this is going to negatively impact men. Hey, this is going to negatively impact the workforce, the jobs that are available. Hey, this isn't good for the future of our children. Hey, no. This is normal. This is expected as the economy evolves into its modern day form. At least that's what they tell us. The eggheads in college, It says reduced demand for less skilled work, technological innovation and disruption, globalization, and the like. True to an extent, but that demand-focused storyline is critically incomplete. Those conventional explanations can't account for some of the most basic characteristics of the post-war male flight from work, not at least its relentless, near invariant nature. Further, given today's unprecedented peacetime labor shortage, variations on the no work to be had argument are no longer tenable. Major sections of the economy are now wide open to applicants without any great skills, apart from the quote skills of showing up to work regularly, on time, and drug-free. It's always the man's fault. There you go. We're just losers. We don't want to work, and we're drug addicts. Awesome. In a post-lockdown recovery, job openings soared. Since Labor Day 21, unfilled non-farm positions have averaged over 11 million a month. For every unemployed man and woman in the U.S. to date, there are nearly 2 open jobs. The current labor shortage affects every sector of the economy in every region of the country. Well, if we're going to go by, supply and demand, market economics, why don't you offer to pay more? I hear this all the time. We're trying to hire for work. The wages look like dog shit. If you are that hungry for employees, raise the damn pay. The job gets filled. You want slaves to work for you that can't survive off the paycheck you're trying to provide, or the hours you're trying to provide, or the benefits you've curtailed, and you're surprised no one wants to work for your shit company. Why this extraordinary imbalance between the demand for work and the supply of it in a market economy? Aren't markets supposed to seek equilibrium? I wonder. Yes, but markets solve economic problems. They do not cure social pathologies. Here, are they going to blame men for this? I'm wondering. Record high job vacancies coexist with depression level work rates for men because a vast pool of unworking prime age men, and increasingly also others, apparently cannot be lured back in the workforce no matter how tight labor market conditions get, no matter how much bargaining power workers possess from labor scarcity, as they currently do under the so-called Great Resignation. Wow, dude, this is a freaking fluff piece from the elites to get you to go back to work. They're literally lying to your face, telling you that you have bargaining power, worker prowess. Workers have been getting fucked more today than they've ever had in the past. Your grandpappy's job managed to afford him the white picket fence, big yard, big house, woman and 2 kids. Yours doesn't. Why are you going to break your back and be a slave when you can't have those things? This is what they're not talking about. Instead, you're a lazy bum, you're a loser, and you like to be a hermit in your room. That's what they're saying. Some men make the choice and go, I'd rather not be a slave for current wages where I can't even afford the apartment anyway. I can't afford to feed myself barely anyway. I still have to live with roommates anyway. There's no way I could have a woman, kids. Why should I break my back for a company that also doesn't reward me for staying loyal? In order to get pay raises these days, you have to switch companies every 2 years. You actually make far more money if every 2 years you resign and get another position somewhere else. Companies don't give a shit about you. They treat their workers like shit. Corporate culture today is exactly that. You're disposable. No wonder people don't want to work for your soulless corporation, because you don't treat them right. You don't care that they put in 40 years as a company man. Those days have passed. 40 years as a company man is unheard of today. In the 60s, that was normal. Ted would be working for the same company, doing the same thing, moving on up for 40, 50, 60 years until he retired. And he got a plaque on the wall and he was appreciated. Nowadays, you're a sucker if you stay more than 5 years with the company because they're going to drain you. They'll hire somebody that you'll probably have to train that will eventually replace you because they're going to ask for less money or too stupid to ask for the amount of money you're currently making. You're seen as a burden to be at a company for multiple years now because your salary increases are getting too high. They can just hire somebody to do the same monkey job of pulling the damn lever for cheaper. And that's what they tend to do. What a joke, man. This is literally written by elites to make it seem like all the power is in your hands. How could you possibly be unhappy? The market's perfect for work. But they can't raise the damn wages then. In absolute terms, the current level of unfilled jobs is at about 4 million higher than immediate pre-COVID level. And today's manpower levels are roughly 4 million workers lower than if the workforce have kept growing on its pre-COVID trend. I'm trying to skip through this article to see if there's anything even worth talking about here because that's crazy. It says, thanks to, look at this, ass kissing the government. Thanks to Washington's emergency relief transfers, in fact, America had more money in their pockets during pandemic emergency years than they cared to spend. Thus, a jaw-dropping, totally unforeseen doubling of a person's savings rates during the time of a national economic crisis. Do you know 70% of Americans don't have $400 fucking dollars put away, saved, or the ability to save up $400 for an emergency? So we're just saying that literally people essentially got $800 in savings now. You gave people $1,200 and expected them to last a year on that piece of shit payment while you closed everything down, made people lose their businesses, and evaporated most of the fucking wealth from the middle class and sucked it on up to the elite. What are you talking about? Look at how they frame this. Jaw-dropping. Emergency relief transfers. The fucking PPP programs are what saved major corporations. Big companies took money from the public, saved themselves, while the little guy got screwed. You know, in Europe, they were paying people their monthly wages up to 100% for every month that they were closed. Businesses were also having their cash flow taken care of as if they were open. Don't know what percentages, but a high percentage. You in America got one fucking payment one time and we're told, figure it out, bro. This is us taking care of you. Look what's happening to people in Hawaii, in Lanai. They got $700, bro. Their house is burned down. Their land, predators are already swooping down trying to take it for themselves. All the rich assholes. You got $700, but we got 100 billies to send to Ukraine. Wow. Unreal. Emergency relief transfers, bro. Jaw-dropping. We'll just read this last part because this is straight up propaganda from the elite. There are uncomfortable echoes of men without work, disease, and some of the COVID-era time use readings among older Americans, especially in NILF men aged 55 to 64, some too for some prime age women, especially those without children at home, not currently married, and neither employed nor in education and training. We also see a worrisome prevalence of medication, self-medication for pain in those other groups. In 2021, at least 45% of NILF males, 55 to 64-year-olds, and prime age NEET women without kids at home or current spouses report taking pain meds every day. Yeah, our healthcare is fucking busted too. Surprise, surprise. Warning signs that growing numbers of Americans are ambivalent about or allergic to working should not be ignored. Oh, we're allergic to hard work. We were just called the hardest workers in the world. We've passed up Japan. Oh, people are realizing they're getting screwed and cutting back on spending and choosing to live a more dignified life instead of being a corporate wage cuck. You mean people don't want to keep up with the Joneses anymore? You mean a swath of us have chose to go overseas instead, the other retiring to smaller towns? You mean we don't want to partake in the hedonism and materialism today? Oh my God, infinite growth. There it goes. How's our society going to grow? How are you going to keep consuming? How are we going to have record earning calls, quarterly reports? Consume, citizen, consume, consume, consume. Nope. This is like corporate propaganda of why you need to return to work. Please, we got to be rich. Our bags are light and I need a second yacht. Could you please be a slave and come back and work? Please. It's all in your power. Jaw-dropping strength you have and influence. It's the workers' economy, bro. We're struggling at the top. I used to own 10 houses. Now I only own 9. I had to sell one off because I got in a divorce and I need to recoup my losses. Please go back to work. My neighbor just bought a 100-foot yacht and I'm feeling inadequate. I need one too now. And like, I want to douse the room in gold. So can you please? Fucking joke. For the flight from work is much more than an economic problem. Success through work, no matter one station, is a key to self-esteem, independence, and belonging. A can-do, pro-work ethos has served our nation well. Yeah, small business is what made America boom, not corporations. Small businesses on the back of the middle class. A strong middle class is what made America into a fucking superpower. America's future will depend in no small part on how and whether our people choose to work. And that question will only grow in importance as our society ages. Yeah, bro, why don't you advocate for more small businesses? Why don't you provide advantages for being a small business? Why don't you cripple some of the larger corporations and their ability to gatekeep industries or their insatiable need to crush the little guy through bribing politicians and all these other corrupt measures? Because it's not a level playing field. Let me tell you, as a small business owner myself, the big boys play dirty. That's how they got that big. It's not fair. Being in construction and remodeling, I've seen plenty of big jobs I should have gotten that I literally priced at break even or a slight loss because I was working them with my own 2 hands. Still didn't get the contract. Do you know why? I ended up finding out why. Because the big guys ended up paying the client under the table and gave them the job instead. Because it's nice to receive $50,000 under the table for a job worth $500,000. Job's guaranteed yours, bro, if you could grease hands. Fucking joke. You get red pilled to the business world when you start your own small business. You see how the shit really works. And some of the comments here say people are waking up to their debt/wage slavery. If you're never going to make ends meet, fully employed or not, where's the incentive? And some of us have burned the employment candle at both ends long enough to destroy our health for life. So it's not simplistically explained away. I don't understand the concern for men remaining outside of the workforce. Not long ago, there was a great rejoicing when the number of women enrolled in college surpassed that of men. There's a push for more women in STEM, corporate America, and small business now more than ever. That F word, gynocracy, has not succeeded in elevating women as much as devaluing men. Besides, the EE numbers look better for everybody if a woman is hired. Exactly. Made your bed, now sleep in it, dude. World's looking grim because now the West, especially America, with diversity and inclusion, is going to depend on these diverse and inclusive hirings to replace all the men that are leaving the workforce. And good luck getting the same productivity because a woman doesn't want to slave away 100 hours to impress a boss or compete with coworkers the way a man would. They're trying to have work-life balance. They want eventually to have kids, eventually get married. Good luck with that. You're going to be churning over. The turnover rate is going to look insane in the next 10, 20 years. Corporations are not going to be able to hold on to anybody. Maybe they went on to do things they want to do. Many jobs still refuse to raise wages to beyond poverty rates or barely making it, so they found money elsewhere. That is the economy. I don't agree with this article. I know people that decide to start their own business or become freelancers. Since COVID, many people no longer want the 9-to-5 grind. Says that's true. I think this article is misleading because I suspect they're only referring to W-2 workers. More and more people, especially younger men, are small business owners. This is what a gig economy looks like. Then Philadelphia D says, this is what society gets when it persistently vilifies men. This is especially so for Caucasian men. It is not can't work, but rather it is won't work. What could be dangerous is if men decide they won't defend Western civilization and join some marauding hordes of invaders in exchange for a better place in society. This is not likely anytime soon, but if the trend continues, it becomes more and more a possibility. Personally, I got sick and tired of HR and the outrages of family court. My solution was quitting work for about 10 years, on coming back because the wide open job market, since people are now just dropping dead and having heart attacks and stroking out. I have found a new voice and push back against anyone attempting to marginalize me. Before I would have been fired. Now I get respect. Anyway, women want to be men these days. Let them do what we have done since the dawn of man. I mean, woman. Let men stay home and the women can do the grind and have heart attacks at 65. Can't wait to see them building the bridges and skyscrapers, cleaning the sewers, fixing the railroad tracks, all women landscaping crews. Men don't just have C-suite jobs, you know. They keep everything we take for granted up and working. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Notice the perspective from the article and the way men are commenting in the section below it. So you could see the schism there, the disconnect about the people who write the article, the elites, and their views on the economy and how they're gauging the workforce and what their explanations of why men are leaving the workforce. And then you get the voices of men beneath literally explaining to you how they feel and why they left. Falls on deaf ears. This is not a conversation the mainstream is willing to have. Men will keep getting demonized, essentially. You're going to get called a loser. You're going to be told that you're not a real man, that if you don't do slave work for a corporation, just like your daddy did, just like your grandpappy was doing at one point, that you're ruining the economy. They're finding out women cannot pick up the slack and they don't want to, especially in those dangerous jobs, all the infrastructure jobs that are extremely important to have society running in the first place. Good luck, man. It's going to be an interesting next few decades. I can tell you that much, because men are en masse looking for ways out. That traditional path of go to college, get a job, work till you retire, die 5 years later is not on everybody's mind anymore. That path is done. I don't know any young guy today that's thinking about going to college to work for some company for 40 years. Everybody's trying to do remote work, something with the internet, online earnings, small business, freelancing, consulting of something, right? Building up a unique skill you have. I see so many young dudes, man, just walking in the city back in the States, like someone holding a camera, somebody laptops at a cafe. People are finding ways to earn money that's no longer attached to a company, to a corporation. This is a trend that's going to continue. Men already see the future. Going to college for what, dude? In a toxic campus that'll kick you out just because a woman can potentially say you did something to her. It's just an accusation, and the college won't wait for the police. They'll just kick you right out. So your dream gets crushed right then and there, and you've already accrued debt for going to school. Then you're supposed to go into a toxic workforce where HR automatically is just labeling you a predator in their eyes, because it just takes yet again another accusation or them coming up with a reason to get rid of your ass because, you know, the CEO wants to cut up some of the workforce to make more money because he needs his 10th yacht. It's crazy, man. The most important thing you can do in life, boys, is take control of your financial future. It doesn't just necessarily mean becoming a passport bro or something. It's start your own business, man. That's real freedom. It's stressful like no other. It's kill what you eat on that day and that day only. Every single day is a brand new experience. You will never have a consistent paycheck. That in of itself is scary. I understand. A ton of you are just used to the, I show up, clock in, I get my money. I'm good. That's all I need. You're accepting slavery, man. Do everything in your power to start your own business. When I did, it was simultaneously the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. I was just learning as I went, didn't have a perfect path towards whatever goal. It's just stumbling along the way and figuring out problems as they come. Take the leap, dude. Don't wait. Don't try to plot the perfect path. Don't try to have an answer for everything. Just start. Just go. Whatever idea that resonates with your soul, whatever experience you've picked up in your life, things you like to do, figure out a way to monetize that, to make money, to earn a living from it. Self-employment is literally the only key to freedom. That's it. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, especially about the workforce today, the work culture. If you're working, interesting in hearing that. How much longer you plan on working for? What people's ideas of a career looks like these days too, because the mainstream thinks putting in time at a corporation is the norm. But what people are visualizing for themselves today is completely different. And we'll see you on the next one.